Okay, so I'll start this officially. So this is going to get recorded. We'll stick it out. It'll obviously be available on the Twitch website, and then I'd like to get this on the YouTube page as well. So if anybody wants to watch it there, you can. So the before I start, wanted to kind of talk about why I do this. Right. Well, some of the things. One, I enjoy the game. I've always enjoyed the game. I've been a subscriber since day one, and have been a subscriber since then. I mean, I've never stopped subscribing. There have been plenty of times that I stopped playing. In fact, there was a period of, I don't know, like I go in these bouts of like 6 months or 3 months where I just stop playing altogether and I come back, see what's going on, you know, download the patches, play around with it, do a couple more levels, and then I'll drop off again after a few months, that sort of thing. So it's been kind of in and out. I've never really been a consistent player now for about 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. So, but I've always enjoyed the game, and it's like one of these things where I felt like I don't really want to get rid of or cancel the subscription. So it's just always been there. So that's one. One, enjoy the game. Two, I thought it'd be interesting just to kind of go back and do some of this lore. It feels like a lot of these days, no one talks about Legends, and I don't think it's fair to say, well, it's not canon, so why does anybody care? There's obviously great stories here. There's a lot of things that are even today with the Disney era that they are still pulling from in the Legends era, and some of that stuff we'll talk about today in running through the character creation and playing these first couple of levels. But so yeah, there's definitely history there, and I am one that I enjoy the history of it all. I like to understand where things came from, what were the background inspirations, the designs, all of that. It's all very intriguing to me, and hopefully that's intriguing to some of you as well. So we'll get into a little bit of the lore. I'll talk about things as we get through, and we're going to talk about Tython probably primarily here tonight because that's where the starting planet is for the Jedi Guardian. But as things come up, we'll continue to do more of that. So look at that; it's already logged me out here. So I'm going to log into Fatil Shan, which is the server that I'm currently playing on, and go through a character creation. So I'm going to. Oh, it's just a dummy character. So we've got Old Republic, Fallen Empire, and Onslaught. The big difference is level caps through all of these. And from a timeline perspective, there's I haven't done the math yet, but I know it's at least 10 years that transpire in the game itself that you play through. But we're going to start back at the old school, Old Republic, and I'm going to choose an Alliance character here, or Republic character. Okay, let's see. I am going to go straight up. So you've got a couple different ones, right? So you've got Jedi Knight, Counselor, Smuggler, Trooper, and then within each of those, you've got sub levels or subclasses, if you will, that you can kind of go up. Hasn't really changed at all. I mean, this has been the game since day one. They've done a lot of customizations and that sort of thing, but for the most part, these are still the same classes that have existed since the very beginning. So I'm going to pick Jedi Knight, Jedi Guardian as the class that I want to play. And I guess the key difference between Guardian and Sentinel, the Guardian is more of a protective tank character, whereas the Sentinel is more offensive minded. Think of like a World of Warcraft terms, it would be a tank that's spec for uh, melee combat, or if you're a paladin, it's like Retribution, right? You're more offensively minded. This is more of a defensive minded character. And I'm going to pick plain old human just because it feels weird playing anything else. I've got all these other ones here that I've not unlocked. The Natolans just came out. Those were part of Onslaught. So fairly recently, just last year, they finally introduced these. And all these other guys I've never even purchased or done with. I bought the Chiss. I unlocked that one at one point. I think I had to purchase that. But that was only to make a gratuitous Thrawn character, which I never got around to doing. But no, I'm not picking Zabrak. Thank you, though. Although they look cool, I do like them. That is the original look. So, but no, we're gonna pick human. Boring, boring. And I always play males. I don't have anything against people playing females or anything like that. It's just weird. I don't understand. So I don't do it for me. So, all right. So I'm gonna pick, and I'm gonna go with a character design that I'm used to, just because I've tried to make other characters over the years and kind of mix it up, and it always, because I've played this one character type so long, the humans, when I play a different class, it feels odd hearing that voice come out of anything that looks different than the very first character human that I created. So I don't stray too far from it. And then again, that's probably really silly and odd, but that's just what I do. Silly and odd. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, that voice right there. So beards, I usually go with the 29. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. And a handsome looking guy. That's not it though.
Dedicated my life to serving others.
This is the least exciting thing I know, but I got to do it. Character creation 5. So hair color 14. So I always go with like the old characters, and it was when I started the game. I thought, okay, I joined a role playing server originally, and I had all this backstory of this character that I wanted to create, and it was somebody that was like an old gentleman who wanted to become a Jedi. And it was, the story was that he was too old to join, and yet he still joined and became successful. And so I've never strayed from it. This is just, I like playing this old dude. What's scary is these days it kind of reminds me of myself, so I guess it's appropriate. Okay, so that's all I do, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any kind of a name that I want. Let's see if that's available. It is. Oh, so this is going to get super loud. Turn down the volume. I don't know why this is really loud. The rest of the game is not this loud, so I apologize in advance. I love it. I just started and I'm already getting spam for buying gold or credits.
Welcome to Tython, Padawan. Everyone at the temple is looking forward to meeting you. Your former masters praise your combat skills. They say you're becoming an expert duelist.
It's easy to excel when you're trained by the best.
The Jedi Council will assign you a new master to oversee your final trials. You'll be tested in ways you can't imagine. But when you leave Tython, you'll know what it means to be a Jedi Knight. More importantly, you'll know yourself.
I'm eager to face these trials. Where do I start?
There's a speeder here that will take you to... Hang on.
Uh-oh, we got trouble.
Emergency signal. Flesh Raiders, armed with blasters? He must be mistaken.
Mistaken or not, that Padawan is under attack.
They've never come this close before. Flesh Raiders are a species of hostile natives. They're smart enough to use tools and violent beyond reason. I'm sending every able-bodied Jedi down to the Padawan training grounds right away. Especially you.
Just point the way. I'll handle the rest.
Take the speeder outside to the training grounds, push back the Flesh Raiders, and find out if they're really using advanced weapons. Go. I'll catch up with you after I alert the Jedi Council. May the Force be with you.
Okay, so volume was low. I got to do some stuff here. Let me turn the volume down. If this thing comes up. There we go. First, let me change the graphics because it popped me out of. I want to go full screen windowed. All right, hopefully that's a little bit better. You guys can hear that a little bit better. And let me close this, otherwise you're going to see all kinds of chat there. And then the other thing I've got to do is I still have to set up my keyboard. So let's change this. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I mean, normally I would go through and map everything out and go through that experience, but in the interest of time, I am going to just do the basic stuff that I need to get by. So... And I have the most peculiar layout for when I play these types of games. I've been told it's absolutely bonkers, but I think it's what I used to use back in the days of Doom. So it's maybe even Wolfenstein 3D. So it's not changed since then. That's why I have it. And, didn't do a jump. Oh, I need that. Jump. Oh, I did do jump. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn down the sound on the music just a little bit. Although I do love the music, it's maybe a little too much. Okay, so this is Tython. So a couple things in the intro, if you didn't catch it. So the story is, let me back up. So Star Wars The Old Republic takes place around 3,640 years before the Battle of Yavin, right? So 3,600 years and some change prior to Battle of Yavin. So it's really far out there. In terms of where this is... hi, Jay Breezy. This guy just came up and want to take a look as well. In terms of where this takes place after the KOTOR games, those took place around 3,960-ish. So about 350 years later is when this takes place. So quite a big jump there. And this is right after. So the Jedi actually had left the planet of Tython. Now, this is Legends. I'll talk about canon here in a second, but they had already left Tython long ago. Originally, Tython was where the Jedi, so J-E-D or J-E-apostrophe-D-A-I-I, spelled a little bit differently. This is their home planet. The Jedi eventually formed out of here and eventually left Tython and went to Coruscant and Ossus and other places. They kind of expanded, and they pretty much abandoned Tython altogether. Later, it was after the sacking of Coruscant, which they actually talked about in the crawl. I don't know if you can catch that, but they said the Sith had pretty much waged a war on Coruscant, and they sacked all of Coruscant completely took over the entire planet, pretty much decimated what was left of the Jedi. As we know them, not the original Jedi, but the more modern Jedi, I guess, if you will. And they needed a place to go. So they went back to Tython, and they got here because Satil Shan had found the hyperspace route. So for a long time, there was no way to get back to Tython, and she found the hyperspace route. They decided to set up. They came back here and basically took over the old temple that was there, which we'll see in a little bit here. It's one of the few first places you go to. The original temple of the Jedi is where they end up kind of setting up shop again. And there's some ruins a little bit later as well. But this is the actual planet. So this is kind of, from a Legends perspective, this is really where it all started here. You can see some of the temple, the stone monuments down here. We're going to zip over to that area in just a little bit. And, I've never looked, but one of the cool features, might look a little bit later, are the moons on Tython, which I'll kind of hold off for right now and talk about those in a little bit. So, but yeah, this is kind of where they've set up shop again. So this is all new to them. They've obviously never been here. Or they haven't been here in years and years and years. And this is the starting point. So the other thing that happened is in the very beginning was if you didn't hear the audio, which I hopefully have cranked it up a little bit more, there's these things called Flesh Raiders. I'll talk about those in a little bit. They're attacking some Padawans that were training, and so now they're dispatching all the Padawans in this area temporarily to kind of fend off the Flesh Raiders in hopes that they've made this larger call to the Jedi and to come out and help like some of the older masters and more experienced Jedi, not me, the young Padawan. So I'm going to pop into this little speeder bike here, or speeder. This has got very much like the Attack of the Clones vibes too, like a taxi with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Okay. This is the area of the Gnarls. Now you can't see... Yeah, you can see one of the moons there. And that's the sun. And here's the other moon. So one there and one there. Now you can't really see the colors. You can see, again, there's one here, the big one and the dark one. I've never actually checked to see if they show they have different shades. But so Tython has two moons. The moons are Ashla and Bogan. You may be familiar with those terms already. But really what they are is a light side and the dark side. So I'm going to go in here and change something, and I'll come back to that. So I forgot to change the interface editor here. And this is supposed to be changing. Oh, I got it. Hold on here. I'll get it together. I think it's this guy. And reload. There we go. That's more like it. Okay. All right. So what I was saying? Oh, so the moons, Ashla and Bogan. So Ashla is the light side moon, and Bogan is the dark side moon. So the original Jedi were really all about balance, 100% balance. They would what we would consider maybe somebody like Rey today, or Luke Skywalker, any number of other, like even Ahsoka to some extent kind of probably falls in there now. But they were really, truly kind of middle of the line. They didn't believe in going too far right or too far left or too far dark, too far light. And anytime that there were Jedi followers of the Force, again, this is years ago. I mean, 25,000 years before, right? This is the time period here. But anytime they felt like there was somebody that was going too far one way or the other, they would actually send them to the opposing moon, right? So let's say you were a Jedi and you started veering too far to the dark side, right? You started having dark side tendencies. They would take that Jedi and send them off to Ashla. They would send them, Bogan. They would send them to the dark side moon. And from there, they would look upon Ashla so they could reflect on how to become more balanced and how to become more centric or more light side inclined. And then vice versa, right? If somebody was too far good, right, that extreme, they would send them to the good planet so that they would have to look at the moon of Bogan and try to become, more neutral, a little bit darker, back to the kind of middle of it all. which is really interesting. Especially these days when we talk about like dark side versus light side and gray Jedi and kind of like where we think the canon Jedi are eventually going to come or what Bray is going to start doing. That seems more in line with what they were doing again 25,000 years before. And again, it's one of those things I think is just great and fascinating. Whether or not they purposely pulled this from Legends, I don't know, but it's kind of going that route, so it's kind of cool. And then just one last thing before I move on here with Tython, since it was the middle of it all, or the kind of central, it was the center, it was the neutral. That you had Ashla, you had Bogan, and then Bendu, not to be confused with the character of Bendu, but Bendu was the name for Tython, another name for it, I guess, right? And Tython, I think Bendu translates into like Mystic Center, is what the Jedi translation of that, right? So, and then one other thing. So the symbol for Tython, and I don't think they show them here. They probably do not. But a long time ago, yeah, the Jedi symbols are up everywhere. But a long time ago, on Tython, the original Jedi symbol was what we know as the Imperial symbol. And if you look at it, it looks like a center. It looks like a circle, right? You know what I'm talking about, almost like a spoke wheel. And that was supposed to represent the center. The symbols for Ashla and Bogan look very different. I don't have a way to kind of show those to you guys, but if you ever get a chance to go watch the Mortis trilogy in the Clone Wars, the daughter represents Ashla, and she actually has the Ashla symbol in the back of her, like in one. I think it's in her throne. It's kind of sitting there, and then the father's in the middle, right? He would be considered the Bendu, and then the son would be there, and he had the Bogan symbol above him. So they are canon from that perspective, at least. And Tython is actually canon now too. So Tython just became canon last year in the Dr. Aphra series. Prior to that, it had never really. It'd shown up in video games and just kind of lore, legends, that kind of thing, but it really has never been officially canonized until Dr. Aphra. And it's a very light reference. I think like at one point she tells Vader that there's, I'm trying to, it's like rebels or something. I can't remember what they're looking for, but they say that there's a base. She tells them there's a base out there on the moon Tython, or on the planet Tython. So that was the first time it had ever been mentioned since the Disney era took over as well. So anyways, with all that said, this is Tython. So I'm going to actually start playing the game here so you can watch that and not listen to me babble about old Legends lore.
Padawan, come here, quickly. The training grounds are not safe today.
All right, tell me why.
Night Weller sent me to help with the Flesh Raiders. I'm combat trained and ready to help.
And the Force is with us. Few Padawans here can make that claim. The Flesh Raiders moved into the training grounds, organized and ready, attempting to isolate various groups of Padawans. There's a group of students in the hills we lost track of. They're not combat trained.
Don't worry. Those Padawans will get home safe. I promise.
I've got a beacon here. If you can find the Padawans and set the beacon, we'll send an evac shuttle as fast as we can. A group of Jedi from the Temple is headed this way, but maybe not fast enough. May the Force be with you.
Okay. So that is the... Did I roll an Ewok? I love the animation. No, I did not roll an Ewok. But it is kind of bad, isn't it? So these are the Flesh Raiders here. And I'm just going to walk up so you can kind of see them up close. That's what they look like. Start beating this guy down. How's the audio on this? Is it too loud? Can you guys hear the sound effects? And I got to kill 5 of these guys. Sorry, 10 of them, and I'm down to just a few more. This Force Leap is like one of my favorite moves. Um, it's one of your first moves that you get, and you end up honestly using it all the way, even in endgame. It's just so useful. Um, a lot of different ways, actually. All right, I got a call here.
You're unharmed. Good. Flesh Raider shot me in the leg while I was rescuing.
Oh, sure.
Don't know where these things got blasters, but I know how to use them. I've been evacuated to a med center, but the fighting isn't over.
I'll push back the enemy, whatever it takes.
We need to stop them at the source. Another Padawan found a cave tunnel the Flesh Raiders used to enter this valley. I need you at that tunnel, making sure the Flesh Raiders don't get any more reinforcements through it.
I'll find this cave tunnel and seal it.
We need to end this conflict before anyone else gets hurt. Find the tunnel along the mountain range. May the Force be with you.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So these Flesh Raiders, they are they've showed up. They've got weapons, which at least at this period they've never had weapons before, and they've lost track of some Padawans that I got to go rescue now. And of course, that guy's hurt, so he can't help me. Big deal. So I am going to head out here in search of these kids. I know where they are. Been a while since I've been out here. And I did have a level. I could have went and leveled up. I just didn't do it because, one, it's kind of an interesting time thing. I mean, it's not really necessary, especially against these guys. I'm going to free these kids. One there. See the chest. Alright, so I got some stuff I can wear now. Put that on. And inside here, artifact fragments, so I don't need that right now. And I am just going to go through here, continue killing these guys, and freeing these kids, and eventually I'll get to where those Padawans disappeared to. And I'll talk about the Flesh Raiders here in just a little bit. I'm trying to pace myself. He just suddenly died very violently. There we go. They used to be back here somewhere. Oh, there they are. Okay, so these are the kids that wandered off and got hurt. And this will be my first. Now, this is, if you look up here, Attack of the Flesh Raiders, that's purple. Those are the class missions. So for the most part, what I'll be doing as part of this series of videos is sticking to just the purple quests whenever I can, first and foremost. If it makes sense to pick up some of the side quests, then I will. But just so that you know, again, the purple ones are part of the class's storyline, which is what I want to kind of expose in this series of videos. And everything else that's kind of yellow, those quests are not really part of it. There's, some synergy there, but not necessary.
How's he looking?
He should be resting in the Jedi Temple, but if you're determined to press on, I can help him along.
Give him the last of the Kolto if you have to. We'll fight again soon. Hey! Good to see another Padawan alive out here. You're lucky those creatures haven't caught you yet.
We'll ask about the creatures.
Are you talking about the Flesh Raiders?
They're hiding everywhere. We came seeking knowledge of the Jedi Code. The Flesh Raiders interrupted our trial.
Never fought like that in my life. We killed it, but Jaredin was badly injured.
I thought you didn't have combat training. The Masters wanted you out of harm's way.
We're not warriors. Besides, it is not the Jedi way to seek revenge.
That's your opinion, Meneus. It's not what we decided. Training or not, a bunch of animals won't keep us from becoming Jedi.
Isn't she right? Jedi don't give up, do they? She is wrong. Remember the Jedi Code. There is no passion. There is serenity.
That's enough, Meneus. If you want to help us, we could use you. Help make the Flesh Raiders pay.
Okay, so this is if you've ever played any of the KOTOR games, you're familiar with what's happening here. I've got to pick between a good choice and a bad choice. If I pick the good choice, a light side choice, I get points that go to my light side character. So he goes more to the light side. If I pick the bottom one that says "Let's get revenge," then I go dark side. So more than anything, I'm going to pick, or I should say more than anything, I'm going to pick the light side because I'm going to play a light side character and go all in. So I'm going to send these people home because they shouldn't be out here
You're walking a dangerous
playing the
path.
old man part here.
You and your friends need to get back to camp while you still can.
But we're so close to finishing the trial.
No, we are not. I see you have a signal beacon. Leave it for us, and as soon as we have gathered our things, we will signal for a ride back.
Okay, Flesh Raiders. So we got some information about them. Now I can pull this up under the Codex and look at Flesh Raiders, which are these guys there. So you can kind of see them now. One interesting thing about them is they look like hammerhead sharks. That's what they look like to me, anyways. And not Hammerhead the character, not an Ithorian, but hammerhead sharks. But the cool thing about these is if you've ever, hopefully you're familiar with the Rakata, and I don't want to, I could spend all day talking about this. I don't want to go too far, but so the Rakata are the alien race that existed, again, 30,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. And they were the ones, really, I got to summarize this. So they were the ones that went around and kind of collected a bunch of very force-talented people, stuck them on the planet of Tython, and kind of gave birth. They basically enslaved them, and they're not a good race. Don't get me wrong; they're terrible people. But the Rakata look similar to the Flesh Raiders. Let me pull them up again so you can kind of see them. These guys here. Now their eyes, the Rakata's eyes are a little bit further. They're a little bit slender in terms of their face, so they're not as wide faced. They're more vertically faced, I guess. So those guys, they were like the precursors. They could star travel. They were, again, around when, the humans or some of the species within the galaxy were just kind of, very primitive for the most part, somewhere anyways. But these Flesh Raiders are actually descendants. And I don't know if that's official or not. Maybe it is from Legends anyways. I don't know if they've done a lot of research here, but they are descendants of the Rakata. They're just a dumber, much more primitive version of, or descendants of, the Rakata themselves. So the fact that these guys are now running around in the game with weapons, you saw some already attack me with blasters. Some of them had like the lightsaber type sticks or whatever. They don't have weapons at all. They're very primitive. They're think of like the Ewoks. It's kind of like the equivalent of them. So the fact that they're armed tells me that there's something else going on here, and it's all kind of part of the story. So I don't want to ruin it, but that's what's going on. Anyways, the key takeaway here is the Flesh Raiders are technically descendants of the Rakata, which were the precursors to just about everything in Star Wars from a Legends perspective. Attacking the food there for 1 second. Okay. I just picked up an achievement. Tython gripping the Flesh Raiders. Oh, because I've been killing a lot of these guys. All right. So I'm going to continue rescuing these. Still some work that needs to be done there. I've got to free 2 more. I'm going to use my boots. This is not something you start in game with. This is a perk that you get later on that you can unlock for all of your characters, which is really nice to have, so you're not having to run around and do everything all over every single time. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and just kill a couple more of these guys because I'm getting close to leveling, and then I'll level up. Pick up the new abilities. Level 3. And we got some more mad loot. Let's see, what did I get here? Some pants. Take those. Let's see if I can rocket boost back up here and train. There we go.
The beacon worked, and a rescue speeder is on its way. You really came through for those Padawans.
Well, did I now? Yeah, we'll say the students need help. We'll need help.
One of them was injured. You need to send a medic with the rescue team.
Standard procedure. They're in good hands. You probably want to get back to your trials. Again, thank you, and may the Force be with you.
Right, so I got some more stuff there. So what do they call these in game? I think they're just called blades. Yeah. It's called an apprentice practice blade. They're so that's a kind of answering the question that Phantomus had in there. They actually have, so the Sith a long time ago. Here I go. I'm gonna go another rant, another tangent. The Sith a long time ago had a what they would call Sith War Blades, which were imbued with kyber crystals, and they were used. They had actually could block and parry lightsabers, and those are a little bit later in the game. You will see those once you advance far enough. You can see that you can get those and equip those as well, which is kind of cool. But that's not what this is. I technically do not own a lightsaber yet. It is emitting it's basically a long rod that emits I think it's got a kyber crystal in there, and it does emit some energy around it. So, but beyond that, it's not. I'll get my lightsaber. I think it's part of this quest here at the very end before, when you get to level 20 and you end the first part of the quest, which I'm doing. I think that's kind of like the last thing that you get is your lightsaber. It's kind of a big deal. And normally I don't know what color the blade is on this. I've got again, another one of these things is a perk for having played or bought the collector's edition. You would get this special crystal, which doesn't show. But that turns my lightsaber into like a yellow with a black inner color, which is kind of cool. Oh, I'm going to train. Sorry. I got sidetracked there. And that's not my trainer. Hi, you're my trainer.
Glad to share my skills with someone talented.
Chicho form, and then force sweep.
We can spar anytime.
Oh, yeah. So these are the Jedi Knights. So again, the basic class that I'm playing is Jedi Knight, and then I'm wanting to specialize in the Guardian class. So those two I picked up for just every Jedi Knight gets. So whether if you're a Sentinel or a Guardian, you'll get those. Since I am playing a Guardian, I should have, repost. This is kind of
we can spar anytime.
It's an attack that I can do right after I block. And I'm going to move those around because I don't like where they are right now. So, that's going to be, sorry, this is the part that's probably not going to be very exciting. I'm going to move my rocket boost over here because I really don't need it. I'm going to move this over here because that's where it normally is. That's where this is normally at. And, okay. So, one of the things I picked up while I can walk and talk. One of the things that I picked up was the Shicho form, and if you're familiar with Legends, for the longest time there were different forms of lightsaber combat that every Jedi would have to go through, and this was the very first form, which is Shicho. It's spelled Shicho. That's form 1. And that what is it's kind of like the base. It really truly is just that. It's just the basics. It's how to block attacks, how to attack with your lightsaber. Every youngling would go through the process of learning this very first form. In total, there are 7 forms, um, and I can talk about the other ones a little bit later. But the ones that people are always like super familiar with, or the one that everybody's always familiar with, is Form 7, because that's the one that Mace Windu used. That was the Vapid form, or Juyo, I think is the name of it, the official term, not Vapid, although it's called both. But Juyo is the 7th form. So all of that, all the forms went away when Disney came in, and I actually have. Let me thing here. I have this book. If you can see that, Secrets of the Jedi book. So I picked this up. It came out last year, and there's some really good stuff in here, honestly. But the one thing that I picked it up for is because I wanted to see if it really talked about any of the Jedi forms of combat. And there is one section in here that does, and I'm not going to pull it up because that's not why you're here. But there is one section that talks about the forms, and they've really kind of done away with all forms. There are no more forms. It just basically says that all Jedi learn how to attack, they learn how to parry, and that's how to reflect blaster bolts, and that's kind of it. So they really simplified it down and got away with it, which I really don't know that I like the most. I like the idea that there used to be several forms of combat, and in this game, playing the Guardian, I picked this form up, and a little bit later, I will pick up a form called Sorusu, I think is the name, and that is the purely defensive lightsaber technique. And one of the characters you obviously see use this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So when he fights Darth Vader in A New Hope, that is the form that he's using. It's not a lot of flash. It's not a lot of style. It's a little bit slower paced. It's almost kind of like they retconned this, or they wrote it backwards to kind of explain why that fight is not as dynamic as some of the other fights. But nonetheless, that form is very defensive. So again, smaller movements, and it's really kind of a more tactical ability compared to like somebody like Yoda and what he uses when he fights Count Dooku or Emperor Palpatine in Episode 3. So, anyways, again, Shicho is the first form that I've got. It's enabled by automatically, and then later on, as for this character class, I'll get Sarusu a little bit later. So, anyways, a little bit of the forms there, and we can talk about. I may talk about those here, the other forms here in just a little bit as well. I really got to get going. And let's use my boots. Actually, you know what? Help if I knew where I was going. Oh yeah, I'm going into the cave. The cave. Remember your failure in the cave. Cool. So this is the cave that I was asked to go to, trying to find out more information about why the Flesh Raiders have weapons. As you can see, it's got this kind of green thing going on here. It means it's an instance. I can go in, and other people with me can go in. And once we go in, all of the monsters and the mobs in there are just exclusive to us. I'm not competing with other people, which is, nothing new these days. But at the time, huge. Too many times you go and you're fighting in MMOs and competing with everybody else trying to get the same stuff. So, but again, nothing that new these days. So I am in my own little phase here, and I'm just going to start wheeling on these guys here. I killed 10 of these. Look at the cave there. So So you can tell, I mean, they're kind of primitive for the most part. And primitive as Star Wars gets, I guess, right? This is kind of the neat thing about this attack. I can jump down to things like that, not take any fall damage. There we go, level 4. I didn't get to show off my force sweep. Forgot I even had it, but it's fine. All right, so here we are.
Stop struggling, Padawan. Your life was over the moment you set foot here. Because the Order must evolve, and you are weak.
Oh, because the Order must evolve, you are weak. All right, stop this right now.
Whoever you are, step away from that Padawan.
You are dangerous. You killed my soldiers. Not attacking, cleansing. And we have only begun.
All right, we'll ask these guys to surrender, even though they're not going
Lay
to.
down your weapons. I don't want to hurt you.
The old order is dead. Long live the new order.
Oh, see, he's got a lightsaber. I don't have that. All right, I'm going to use my force sweep. I love the move. Oh, no, yeah, I haven't set the button. I'll just click it now. I got to set that button. In fact, let me do that. I know, I'm taking away from the anticlimactic ending there, but let's see. Key bindings. And quick bar. Same thing I'm going to do to you, big boy. That's the quote from Spaceballs. So 1, 2, 3. Is this the one here? I don't know if this is right. That is right. Okay, so now I got to bind. Okay, back to the story. We killed the commander of the Flesh Raiders.
You two all right? What happened here? Thank the Force that you're both safe. This man's no Jedi. At least not one of us.
Tell him he led the Flesh Raiders. Although I said you're late, because this guy, they called him, I don't know how long ago, he's just now showing up. But
He organized the attack on the training grounds. Called the Flesh Raiders his soldiers.
I warned the Council these natives aren't mindless beasts. This is proof. This lightsaber, there's something familiar about it. Strange. You held off all these attackers by yourself with only a practice saber. Impressive.
most impressive.
I followed my instincts. That's all.
They served you well. This battle's over, but we don't want any more Flesh Raiders coming through here.
There we go. Display of power coming up.
That should hold them back for now.
Okay, that was amazing.
I
Sure.
can see why you're a Jedi Master.
When you get as old as me, you learn a few tricks. Not yet. I'll get you to a med center. You seem all right to travel alone. Report to the Jedi Council.
Oh boy, going to the Jedi Council.
This valley isn't safe yet. I don't feel good about leaving.
We have Jedi Knights rooting out the last attackers. You're needed elsewhere. Follow the path leading out of this valley. You'll find the Jedi Temple through the mountain pass. See you there.
Okay, so Orgus Din is that gentleman that I just saw, this guy here. And he's pretty famous in terms of KOTOR lore. Um, he's I won't ruin it because he's actually a main part of the storyline. But I guess the only thing I would say right now is he's a very veteran uh, Jedi master. He's very straight to the point. He's very tactical, strategic. Um, yeah, I'll just leave it at that because again, he's actually very integral in this storyline here. So, the question about whether or not they have any famous actors, yeah, there are. Well, I would say famous actors, but in terms of voice actors, there are definitely some really famous people. I don't have the names right now in front of me, but BioWare tends to keep a lot of these same people. A lot of these voice actors have done stuff for Blizzard, and I mean, just name any large video game. They kind of tap these people consistently throughout. But by and large, I think the voice acting in this game is actually really great. Like there aren't a lot of bad performances, to be honest. And the only performances that even look bad or come across are bad is because at some point when you play the game long enough, you realize they've only got a certain amount of character animations and model. They do the same gestures over and over again. And when you see that, that kind of pulls away for me just a little bit. But I think overall they do a great job in the voice acting. I think that it's one of the things that BioWare has actually been really known for is to getting really good talent to do some of this stuff. So I used the force sweep on that one, and what it does is it stuns them. It does like an AOE attack, and then it stuns them just temporarily. Doesn't really work on some of the more advanced characters or creatures. Like you can't do it on a boss or anything, but for these low peon guys, it definitely works. Still getting spammed here. Credits. Oh, rocket boots. Make sure I'm going the right way, because sometimes I think I'm going the right way and I don't. I'm not. Yeah. So Orgiston now wants me to go to the Jedi Temple and go see the Council, which is where I am headed. I think it's through this way. Sort of. I'm going to pick a fight with this guy, though. So that guy was a little bit tougher. He was a silver. A bit more XP. Completely turned around here. I don't know if I can get out this way. I can't. Darn it. All right. To go a long way. Looks like he's trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to avoid all that, but probably unavoidable. Hey, thanks for joining, Shenanigan. I appreciate you jumping by. 3 a.m. My goodness. That's the Yuxi Beast. I don't know what these guys are, honestly. I mean, I think they were just created for the game. I don't know if they've actually done anything else in Star Wars canon or Legends otherwise. So. So as you can see, like I mentioned earlier on, Tython was the original place of the Jedi, not the Jedi. Um, and a lot of this is still just in shambles and ruins. And I guess what they don't really explain is a long time ago, there used to be something called force storms on the planet of Tython. And while I'm walking, I'll explain a little bit of that. So earlier I mentioned that the Jedi were very much in tune with the Force, and everything was about balance, right? And what would happen is anytime there were really major rifts in the dark side or the light side, one way or the other, there would be these things called force storms. So a good example of this is when, let's say, a whole bunch of people that were light side heavy showed up on the planet, it would throw the balance off. The light side would become greater than the dark side on the planet, and it would erupt into these force storms, which are basically kind of these hurricanes that would just devastate all kinds of things, and vice versa. And there was a period of time when this was happening frequently, without getting into a lot of the details. But so a lot of this is in shambles and in ruins on Tython because of that, and a lot of it's just because it's been years since the Jedi have actually come back, or anybody's been here. So if you can look here, that is now the new Jedi Temple, Jedi area. I'm trying to get a good shot of that here. So I'm getting our leaves. All right, let me zoom in. There we go. That's what I want to show you. So this is where the Jedi have gone after they got sacked at Coruscant and basically run out of town by the Sith. So pretty cool. I like it. It feels very Star Warsy. I'm going to mark my spot here. I'll come back to this if I need to. And again, I'll just kind of do a quick look around here. And there's something special about that person. They're just sitting there glowing. That's a shuttle. I think eventually you take that to get off Tython and head back out to other worlds. Let's see. Do they have the moons still in the air? There's one. Yeah, and there's the other one. Yeah, I can't tell which one's Ashla and which one's Bogan, but those are the two moons. So one of the cool things that I've always liked about the old Republic is originally the Jedi. There were no Sith, right? There was the Jedi, and then there was the Dark Jedi. And we use that term like interchangeably these days, right? When we talk about Dark Jedi, but from a Legends perspective, they mean completely different things. And so the Jedi, again, the old term JEDAII, when those guys, they were trying to be truly balanced. Eventually, there were some that felt like, hey, there's more power in the dark side, that sort of thing. And so they splintered off and they became the Dark Jedi. So now you had Jedi and Dark Jedi. Eventually, that turned into the Jedi Wars, which I think was like 100 years, basically, it lasted, where the Dark Jedi were fighting the Jedi. And the light side eventually won. They expelled the Dark Jedi from Tython, and they left and went to Korriban. Which this is in Legends. They went to Korriban, and there they found the Sith, which are actually a race of characters, and they were very force sensitive, very powerful, very strong, but they weren't very civilized. I mean, they were. I can't remember. I don't remember if they had like a way to do intergalactic travel or not. But when they got there to the world of Korriban, they basically enslaved the Sith and became the lords of the Sith, which is how we got to the Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Right, that title is what stayed with them since then because they were ruling over the Sith as a race. So that's kind of the background on that if you didn't know. But again, originally there was just Jedi and Dark Jedi, and they eventually became Sith Lords once they took over the planet of Korriban and enslaved the Sith as a race. So, all right, so here's the inside of the temple. Pretty cool. Some stuff floating around there. I got a call. Let's take that call. Or let's not. There we go.
Padawan, I'm Steele Shan, leader of the Jedi Council. I'd like to speak privately with you before we meet with the others.
You have my full attention, Master.
Oh, I bet you do.
This isn't a discussion for a comm channel. Come to my meditation room in the temple. We'll talk there.
All right, so we've already met Satele Shan. She's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars lore, and she's got a huge history. I mean, it's super expansive, and if you play this game for any period of time, especially on the light side, you're going to run into her and learn all kinds of things about her. But she is the one that you see in the Star Wars videos, like the SWTOR videos, where she blocks the lightsaber with her hand. I think we've seen the father do that from canon. So, but yeah, she's one of my favorite characters, honestly. And she's, let's see, what are some other cool... I got to go see her in her quarters. I think are down here somewhere. So she's like a far descendant of Bastila Shan, which, if you played KOTOR, if you know much about the lore there, she's kind of like she's from the lineage of Bastila Shan and Revan, so she's got that blood in her. A couple generations removed, or down the road. Super powerful, and she's during the time of this game, she's leading the Jedi Order. And I think this is where I'm going, right? Yeah.
Welcome, Padawan. The temple is already buzzing with accounts of your heroism in the training grounds.
Yeah, it was nothing. Thank you, though.
Master Orgus told me you battled flesh raiders, and a Force user armed with a lightsaber. It must have been a disturbing confrontation. Are you alright?
Let's see. Shaken but solid. Let's go with that.
I'm sorry things ended in violence, but I'm glad to be alive.
Taking a life affects the living Force, and the one who does the killing. This is why Jedi enter battles calmly, with reason. Emotions like fear and anger lead to the dark side.
I'm strong enough to resist. How about that?
I can control my feelings, no matter what I'm facing.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
As the Jedi Code teaches us, there is no emotion. There is peace. Remember those words when times are darkest. And take this. The Code is a source of strength, but some backup never hurts. I'll see you soon in the Council chambers.
Okay, so I've got a new codex entry. So this is more lore stuff about the Padawan. So I got this. This is my first title, which eventually you can have other titles, and you can run around with these titles above your head. But I've earned the title of Padawan, which I'm not showing anything right now in terms of titles, which is fine. And then I've got, I think she upgraded my weapon, yeah. So my practice blade has gone up. So I'll take that, and I'll equip that immediately. And I picked up these gloves, which I'm not wearing. One of the cool things that they did add eventually, this was not part of the game when it first launched, was this, the ability to kind of take your character look and make it consistent all the way through. Let's see, Unify Colors, this button here. So what it does is it just kind of takes all of your different pieces and kind of unifies them, so you don't look like a typical MMO character with purple pants and pink shirt and different colors. Can't unify it yet. All right, that's fine. I don't look bad yet. I don't look too awkward, so we'll just move on. But anyways, it's a nice feature that they added eventually. And again, another thing that's pretty common, pretty standard in just about every MMO these days, but at the time, it didn't have it, and we're better for it. Here's the cantina here. I don't know how crazy the cantina gets in the Jedi Temple. My guess is it's not too crazy. Everybody looks pretty chill. Very peaceful, civilized. The jukebox will actually play music, but I don't really have a lot of money, so I'm not going to... I got to buy a token in order to pick the different songs. See? Bummer. There's the bar. There's that. The reason I came in here was to bind... Which is this thing here. And this will let me come back here, kind of teleport here a little bit later if I need to. All right, let's leave that. And we are going to head up to the Jedi Council. So we'll get to actually go inside there, which is upstairs. And by appointment only. And this is it here. So all these people waiting out here, it's because it's an instance, right? It loads for them individually, and so it looks weird that everybody's just standing here waiting for the temple to open. There's a codex entry here, if I remember right. And this just talks about the Jedi Council, which I'm not going to read. It's very similar, though, to the Jedi Council that we know today. Originally, I think there was 9 people. And this goes back again. I'm going back like 25,000 years, maybe, if I remember correctly. But there used to be 9 pyramids. And again, I'm getting into some stuff that I haven't even explained. But there were essentially 9 pyramids in Tython. And every one of those had a person that kind of made up the council. But for the most part, I mean, this concept of the Jedi Council has been around for thousands of years in Star Wars. And really not a lot's changed. So I'm going to head in here now. I always thought my character looked like Kenny Rogers. Just kind of like that.
I searched the temple archives. This Force user leading the Flesh Raiders never received Jedi training.
Then the Sith have found us. Shouldn't we get ready for them?
Calm yourself, Padawan. We can't be certain of anything yet.
But we've all sensed a growing darkness. Perhaps it's finally revealed itself.
Okay, there is darkness here.
The enemy I faced wanted to destroy the Jedi Order. Can't get much darker than that.
Well, that brightened up the room.
Everyone, this is the Padawan who saved our people in the training grounds. This is Master Kiwix and her extremely vocal Padawan, Kira. The other masters are transmitting from distant worlds.
It's unfortunate our numbers are scattered.
Indeed. The temple's safety is unexpectedly threatened. The Flesh Raiders were disorganized primitives before today.
Not anymore.
They carry blasters and work like an army. We need to find out why.
The man leading the Flesh Raiders probably wasn't acting alone.
Much of Tython remains unexplored, and we have few resources to spare.
I'll handle it with the help of my new Padawan.
Orgus,
Oh, a little forward. Gonna buy me a drink first?
The Force is strong in him. Stronger than I've seen in decades.
I can think of no finer master to complete this Padawan's training.
Yeah, training can wait. Me neither. I can you. That seems a little forward. Although I would rather have her training, but I'll pick number 2.
It will be a privilege.
Don't get too excited. You're in for some hard work. You'll find supplies in my chambers downstairs. Go equip yourself. I'll meet you there.
That's a very Zelda moment from Link's Awakening. Okay, so Master Orgus now has taken me on his Padawan. Thank you. Yeah, it's supposed to be a big honor. It is. And I have got to go down to his chamber and get a free item out of there. And I remember correctly, it's not like anything that great, to be honest, but it's a gift, right? It's free. Let's see, where are we at? Let's go this way. These are cool. Wonder what their stories are. That is not the Lost 20, by the way, if you're wondering. Here's his.
Blast those council meetings. I'd die of old age before my colleagues ran out of things to say.
Yeah, so he's more of a man of action. He's not really a Jedi Master that likes to be in meetings or sit there and talk and yap and that sort of thing. But that's kind of what you're getting here.
I'd rather do something about problems than discuss them.
Still, there are times when talking is exactly what's needed. This situation has come to you fast. You're braving dangers many Jedi never face. I wouldn't blame you for having questions. This may be the only time to ask them.
Okay. I'm going to ask a couple questions here. Why did you choose me?
I get the impression you haven't had a Padawan for years. Why did you ask to train me?
As Jedi, you learn to trust your instincts. When I met you in that cave, my instincts told me that I was meant to train you. I don't know why or for what purpose, but the living force brought us together for a reason.
I like that they make reference to the living force here a lot. And I'm trying to think if they actually talk about the cosmic force. I know they do a little bit later on. Early on, they really don't make mention of it. But again, those are the two. Even back in, there were still, two pieces of the force, the cosmic versus living. But let's see. Oh, let's talk about living. Let's ask that.
You think the Force is alive? That it wants something from us?
Want is too strong a word. Let's just say we'll accomplish more together than by ourselves. There's a group of Twi'lek pilgrims on Tython. They've been fighting the Flesh Raiders for months. The Republic asked us to deny those Twi'leks aid. They settled here illegally, but frankly, we need them.
All right, let's do an illegal settlement.
How are they violating the law?
When Tython was first rediscovered, the Twi'leks petitioned the Senate to settle here. Their claim was denied, too dangerous, but they came anyway. Twi'leks have a settlement in the mountains. That's your next stop. Establish a base camp and speak to the matriarch. Find out everything the Twi'leks know about Flesh Raiders.
I'm ready to get back out there. Do some good.
I'll join you soon. May the Force be with you.
Let's see. And we got, what did he give me here? Premium Battle Versatile Stim, so this will increase my mastery and power temporarily. I never use those things, but okay. So I'm leaving the Jedi Temple, and I need to go talk to the Twi'leks because they have been fighting the Flesh Raiders for some time. Rocket boots. I always forget about those. And here's just, I like that they do this, right? These guys are just sitting out here training. These guys are out here training, floating rocks, just moving rocks, as Ray says. That's what the Force is all about, right? What's going on here? This seems kind of messed up. Why are they doing that? Let them go or kill them. Well, yeah, but all right, whatever. Okay. I need to go talk to the Twi'leks. These are the training dummies here. Which there's a quest here for something later on. All right, here's the medical droid. Sorry, I'm zooming around here. Here's the medical droid. I'm gonna repair.
Stand by for examination and suggested products.
So I'm gonna install all my junk. That sounds terrible. And then I'm going to repair all my stuff.
You are fit for duty. Return to your post.
Later on, when I get a lightsaber, I can come in here and kind of modify it. There's different pieces and components of the lightsaber that you can add and do all kinds of fun stuff there. But I am heading to the mountain. Oh, did I have a quest up here? I probably should train before I go too, so I apologize for that. Let me go do it. Right here.
Peace unto you, friend. I bear word from the masters of the temple. Will you take a moment and hear my message?
By all means, my friend. Let us talk.
You do me great honor. Your present mission is all important, but the masters want to make sure you do not miss what the temple has to offer. When you have time, see Master Mujida. He will guide you in the other skills of the Jedi.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have done this earlier, and I didn't, so I got to go back in. But I kind of need to train here, so let's just get it over with. And that's up at the top. Or not. Down at the bottom. Darn it. Sorry. And it is. Oh, maybe it is. Sorry. Where the heck is my trainer? I thought he was outside, but maybe not. This room. No. This is kind of a cool room. It's kind of a look of Tython, I think. Actually, I don't know what this is. Not important though. That's the one across there. That's where I'm going. As you can see, without the rocket boots, this would be a pain in the rear end having to walk out. Here we go. This is where I need to be.
Glad to share my skills with
Okay, so I got a belt. Pick that up. And that got me to level 5. So I've got... What did I pick up there? Oh, Sunder. So that's a disability here. Sundering Strike. I will need that. Visionary allows you to generate focus, so the more, it's kind of this yellow bar down here. The more focus I have, the more abilities I can use. So definitely have to pick that up. And then their Jedi Knight Cyclone Slash, which allows me to attack, basically an AOE attack, but it's kind of a frontal AOE, like a cone that I have. So, and all right, now that I got
we
those,
can spar anytime.
all right, so I have got, I really wanted these to be no more than like an hour, hour and a half. So I've got about 9 more minutes. I think I am going to go ahead and head out to the Twi'lek village and pick up the quests there. You guys can kind of see that. There's a place I can rest there, and I'll probably just call it for tonight. It's pretty busy. I see a lot of player characters. I mean, you can see them running around. So, I mean, I'll give it that. The game definitely has been around for a long time, but there certainly have been people playing the entire time. Like, it just has never stopped. Now, yes, they've consolidated a lot of the servers down, and that's helped, but I think they've gotten to a point now where they've kind of found, their number, if you will, like what makes sense in terms of number of servers, and population seems healthy, economies seem healthy. This is the way to Kalikori Village. So the Twi'leks are here, and you learned this, and so I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, but you learned that they came here as pilgrims. They were being oppressed. Their leader has a specific way that she kind of rules, I guess. I don't know if it's religious or not. I forget now. But they came here to Tython and landed either just before or just after the Jedi made their way back as well. And the Jedi were like, hey, dude, this is kind of our place. You shouldn't be here. This is our holy land. And they've just said, screw you, we're going to be here anyways. And so they've been here. And the Jedi really haven't kicked them out. But what they've said all along is, well, we're not going to help you with the Flesh Raiders. You guys are on your own. You can stay here, but, don't look for us to help you at all. So there's almost kind of some animosity that exists between the Twi'leks that are here in this village and the Jedi down below. So this is Kalikori Village. And it's a little bit of the scenery. It's a great world. It was Tython was the second planet that they created back in 2007, I believe, when the game was kind of going through the development stages. They started with Korriban, which was kind of easy, I guess, because it's really just nothing but desert and all that. And at some point, when I play the Sith characters, you'll see what Korriban looks like. But after they finished Korriban, the second planet that they developed in this game was Tython, and they sent this through a number of different people to kind of. It was kind of a group collaborative effort to kind of rebuild this world, because prior to this, there had never been anything done with Tython. It existed, but Visually, nothing had ever been created, so all this was created from scratch. Let me see if I can pick up some quests here too while I'm around. Yeah. Many of these quests are all very related. You can kind of knock out several in one go. I think I don't want that quest yet. No, sorry. Because that one will have me go to the very top of the temple, or the top of the path, which I'm not ready to do just yet. So I'm going to pick up some quests here.
Come over here, Jedi, and spare a moment for a humble servant of the matriarch. I promise, your other dealings will wait. My name is Vidariat Aeon. I minister to the bodies and spirits of the villagers, and I have a request. I speak of the Flesh Raiders. Of late, we've seen them growing stronger, and I know why.
So I'm going to ask what their story is, because she seems to know.
What are the Flesh Raiders exactly? Where did they come from?
No one's sure. They were here when the pilgrims came to Tython. The Flesh Raiders have been experimenting, concocting an elixir that makes them ravenous. The ones who drink it go mad. Their lips froth, and they pounce like starving animals. It's black medicine, primitive and evil.
How could Flesh Raiders learn to do something like that?
I have no idea. Such wickedness is beyond our comprehension. We lack the numbers to attack the Flesh Raiders directly, and not even the Jedi could wipe the monsters from this world. But with our warriors' help, the Jedi could reach the Flesh Raider caves and destroy their vats of elixir.
And I'm going to do it. Get rid of these elixir
Then
things.
count me in.
Thank you for this. Otimus Mare knows where the vats are hidden. He is our guard captain. Talk to him to learn the Raiders' secrets.
Okay, so essentially the Flesh Raiders are drinking this elixir. It's making them ravaged and really powerful, and so she wants me to destroy those, which I will. But I'm going to go in here, and this is Matriarch Samari. Well, I won't ruin it. Here you go. This is part of the main quest.
Greetings, Matriarch. Master Orgus Din has sent me to help you fight the Flesh Raiders.
So the Jedi finally deigned to recognize my people's suffering. How noble. Nothing to do with the attack on your training grounds, I'm sure.
We'll be honest, I won't lie, it does.
We didn't realize how great a threat the Flesh Raiders had become.
And now you seek help from the people you once ignored. My scouts have tracked the Flesh Raiders for months, watched them grow in strength. I will share what we've discovered, but only if you agree to protect my people. We suffer.
Mother, you need rest. Let me carry this burden for you.
Now let's ask what's wrong, because there's obviously something wrong here. She doesn't seem well.
The Matriarch appears sick. Does she need a doctor?
Thank you, but we have our own healers.
This is my daughter, Rana Dalven. She and Scout Chief Morint here will speak for me. I must attend to other matters.
Personally, I don't care why you've come. As long as you destroy the Flesh Raiders. Ever since they got their new weapons and gear, they hunt us like animals. The enemy has a camp in the valley nearby. My scouts say the Flesh Raiders store their weapons and other tech in a cave.
Yeah, we're going to help them take care of it.
Removing that technology will neutralize the Flesh Raiders.
We need to strike fear into the Flesh Raiders, sabotage their weapons, fix it so they blow up in their ugly faces.
How would we do that?
Their technology is standard Republic design. We could overload the power circuits and plasma coils. Here, I'll show you. Sabotage would
they are
Flesh
jerks.
Raider numbers and eliminate their technological advantage.
If you brought that technology here, we could defend ourselves with those weapons.
Oh, let's see. You both make strong cases. I don't want to pick sides just yet.
Either one of those plans could work.
My people aren't afraid to fight for their homes. We just lack the means.
This debate is pointless unless you can get inside that cave. You'll need one of the leader's access keys.
Find the Flesh Raider technology and do what you think is best. Good luck, Master Jedi.
Okay. So, I need to go get their tech, and I'm going to head out of here. Get stuck in the door. And I think there's one more quest I can pick up, which is over here. I got to talk to the chief guy, chief security. How's that do that? He's over here. There he is. Odomus Mir.
Jedi, I think I know what you've been doing. Vidaria sent you to speak with me. She told you about the Flesh Raider elixir, didn't she? How it makes the Flesh Raiders strong. Vidaria's been looking for a way to destroy the elixir, but she's making a terrible mistake. We shouldn't destroy the elixir, we need it. And I'll pay you well if you bring it to me.
All right, this guy seems kind of weird, but we'll say why.
What exactly are your intentions?
The elixir can make our guardsmen strong. Yes, it may change them, but it will work. We can defend our village and destroy our foes. Imagine, if the elixir can make a Flesh Raider powerful, what would it do for a pilgrim warrior? Bring it to me, and you will be rewarded, praised.
All right, so yeah, this is all a little shady. We're not going to do that, dude.
I won't help you feed the elixir to the pilgrims.
Fine. Obey the orders of an old woman and destroy the elixir. But pilgrim blood is on your hands. The elixir is in the caves beyond our village. I doubt Jedi can even come close to the vats.
Oh, really? I'll show you. Let me bind right here. And I think that's really the last quest. Now, there's one more where I got to go up to the kind of like the religious leader, the one I mentioned when I came into this little village. But yeah, we're kind of at an hour and 30 minutes now, so I'm probably going to call it right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log out here. I really don't care about the XP or getting more. And I will probably be back on Wednesday to kind of pick up right from this spot and hopefully be able to kind of bestow some more knowledge and trivia about legends and Star Wars and all of that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it was interesting to kind of watch somebody play this game, but also intermix some of the lore and that kind of stuff into it as well. I will be back again Wednesday, and we'll put her up on the website. Announce that this video will obviously be available if you want to watch it whenever you'd like. And then I hope to get these downloaded somehow and get them up onto YouTube as well. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for everybody who stopped by. Really appreciate all the support. Hopefully, again, you found some value in this and thought it was entertaining. I had fun because again, I like playing this game, but hopefully you did too. So I'm gonna head out, and I will see you guys in just a few days. Thank you.